I just thought.
All right, we're going to reconvene the budget hearing, and we are going to discuss the area plan budget, which is the first tab. Our main item to discuss here is that Liz has asked for a new position, and I thought she did a great job of explaining the logic behind the request last month. Creating some depth in the department, some cross-training capabilities, some backup at the inspection service, the building inspector position. So now we just need to decide whether we want to move forward in that direction or not. I guess I'll open the floor to see if there's anything you'd like to add or elaborate on versus in addition to last month or before we consider.
I mean, I don't want to take up a bunch of time. I think I explained it, as well as I could last month, unless there's a question. I mean, certainly, this is one of those things where, since I became director, we've discussed it periodically. There's just been so much flux. But I can tell you right now, I wish we'd done it 3 years ago because we are exhausted in my department. With not having the building inspector, even with the consultant helping, he can do the inspections, but we have to do all the data entry manually. Scheduling has become like a 10-step process instead of a 1-step process. Building code reviews, cluttered cat and ice desks, we're running almost 2 weeks to get most permits out right now, whereas normally we'd be 2 to 3 days. We have things we're more than 6 weeks behind on that aren't as high priority. We're just tired. And if we had that position 3 years ago and they were fully trained, well, we were looking for an inspector. Well, frankly, if they were fully trained, they would have moved into the inspector's position. And then we have probably been able to find somebody with a lower level of qualification to be training. So that's the only thing I would add is, as time goes by and eventually we're going to find solutions to our challenges, as the markets change, eventually it'll become a employer's game instead of employees, whether that takes 6 months or 2 years, like we'll get there. But we see more and more value in having, having options internally when we're dealing with the situation we're in now.
I think as busy as the office already is, and we'll just get busier, I think to serve the public better, I think it's a good idea to do this.
The growth is
Have an
only going to
addition.
accelerate,
Yes,
I would
yes.
think. So we know we've got these housing subdivisions that are going to come online. We know we're going to continue to have, although I guess that's city, but they'll be building in the county. And
We have some inquiring.
Yeah.
I know of 2 large housing divisions that at least are in discussion phases, several hundred homes each. I don't know, you never know what pans out and what doesn't, sometimes markets change and things don't happen, but I know of 2 different ones right now that would not be in the annexation area if they go through.
Okay, well, that's exciting.
And
That's
I know
exciting.
that even, we'll see what happens, but there's a lot of conversation happening, between departments that, even with the annexation, because of the shape of it and the way the complexity is, we may continue to play a very active role in reviews on both sides of the annexation line in the West State Road 28 area, because almost any development that occurs is going to be in both jurisdictions. And so the best thing with the community, even if we don't share jurisdictional power, is to work together so the developer we minimize how much the developer gets hung up between the jurisdictions. So I don't anticipate that 100-foot wide annexation line is going to make a huge difference in what we're administrating and involved in.
And there's more coming
There
out
is.
there. Anybody else care to comment? I know I'd heard from you, some of you privately in support of the position, but anybody care to speak on the record?
I
Well-
do. I mean, like I said in some of my emails, I just feel that with all the building and everything going up and around the county and everything, the problems that Liz is having now, that the growth of the county is going up, so we need to at least be there to compete with it and give the people a good shot at it.
Clark, I thought you were getting ready to say something.
Yeah, I was. I mean, as long as I've been involved with the Area Plan Commission, we've had a stellar reputation and tried to be really be proactive with our service, so I think we need to have the staff to make that happen.
Anybody care to make a motion that we, I guess I take that back, it's in the budget. We wouldn't need to take a motion to keep it in there, we'll just approve it as presented.
Okay.
But I think what you have is a consensus that the council's on board with keeping that position in. So, I didn't have anything else for that budget. Anybody else have anything they want to talk with Liz about? Okay, I think that was all we did. I don't know if you were in the room when we did approve the truck funding.
Yep,
So,
and we'll be discussing that with the commissioners at their next meeting
okay,
as well.
okay, great.
So, I do anticipate, it's because we had no way of knowing, it's not in the area plan commission budget, but I do anticipate, I don't know if it'll be this year or next year, we may end up coming back. That truck was planned for the surveyor's office. We don't put nearly the same number of things on a vehicle as like county highway or the sheriff or the surveyor, but, we do line the beds and undercarriages with, protective coatings because we're frequently in the mud and off road, so stuff rusts out faster if you don't. And we do put safety flashers in and then some kind of bed cover to keep the dust out of the back. and
So that
out of
line
the tools.
item was for the full cost of the vehicle, and you should have some trade, or the.
Okay, so you think there'll be some in there
Yes.
to be able to use for
Yes.
the, I think on our last truck, we put maybe 4,000 worth of aftermarket stuff. I mean, we try to keep it minimal, but if we don't do anything to it, the vehicles do fail faster.
You saying that about addressing it with the commissioners at the next meeting reminds me that putting this in the budget is step one, and so you'll have to work with the commissioners to get the job description done and, all of those.
Job description actually goes through area plan for,
Okay.
by state law.
Okay, okay,
Area
that's,
plan commission employees, but yes, the plan commission will need to do that, and then we will need to provide a copy of that
okay.
to the county commissioners and the auditors.
Well, I just want
office.
to, make sure we go through all the steps.
Yeah.
This was just
And
one of them.
The area plan commission will also have to decide, at whatever point that's relevant on the timing of where that fits in and those kinds of things. So this, if we make it through budget cycles and it remains in, then the plan commission will follow up with the conversation.
I always forget you're just a little bit different with
It's
that,
okay.
with that plan commission.
Difference
So,
good sometimes.
yeah.
Sometimes not.
All right, thank you, Liz.
All right, thank you. I hope you guys have a good day.
All
Thanks,
right.
Liz.
Okay. Next on my list then would be the commissioners' budgets, which again, somewhat like the council budget, I didn't really have anything in there that felt like I had circled or that was a big deal, but it's such a big part of the budget that I felt like it warranted a second look. That is tab number 6. Well, what I wanted to vote on the grant manager, and I guess maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but I wanted to vote that we were approving the funding, but we were waiting to make the determination on which budget it was going to be in until after the HR group had met and finalized the job description. If you'd like us to do a vote, I have no objection to doing a vote for that. But
Nope, that's fine.
I just felt like that was a little bit unique,
Okay.
that other one, and I wanted it on the record, or for the record. We did have a few, I don't know if I can find that note again in all my piles of stuff. We did have a couple of notes that we reviewed last time, and Jerry and Bert, last month, you'll recall, you all had conflicts, and Jordan had a conflict, Josh, and nobody from the commissioners was here, but Jordan had met with the budget committee prior to the meeting, had gone over everything, and so we had a list of 4 or 5 items that we discussed, and I don't think we had a problem with any of them, but one of them was the ADA coordinator. Did anybody else take those notes? I can't find my notes as to what all those were. The other was the scanning, the new line item for scanning.
Yeah, I don't think.
There was like 4 or 5 things. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Oh, here it is. I got it. Okay. County attorney salary adjustment. And then we had a couple of things in the CUME funds where we had one of them was a potential for a reduction, and I think Jordan was able to confirm with me that there is going to be a reduction in the copier lease. I think he told me 20,000. Is that correct? Okay. So that was one thing, was that the copier lease, at the time we said he was keeping it in the budget the same, but he hoped to have some savings. So if we do have some savings, I'd like to claim it. And then we had lowered the boiler repair cost from 30,000 to 10,000 to reflect the fact that we got new boilers. So those were the items. I'm asking if we can, if there's any room to reduce the copier line item. Why don't we just do 15?
Where's that at, Alan?
I think I have that in, is that in Cume Courthouse? I have it, I have CCD, and I don't know if that's, yeah, that'd be Cume Cap, yeah. Which that actually may be in the, is that in the council tab? It's behind the council tab, which is 8. So could we go to 50, Jerry, and be okay? Okay. That leaves a little wiggle room if you need to transfer something then, you know. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna take that second item, it's 030026 to 50,000.
Okay.
And thank the commissioners for negotiating a better deal. That's great.
Thank you.
So the committee, when we met, I think we were, very satisfied with the explanations, and I tried to communicate that last month on behalf of the commissioners when we talked about it, but everybody comfortable with the county attorney salary adjustments, proposed 4,000 increase each year for the next 3 years, so that would take next year from 48 to 52. So we do have a commissioner in the room now, if anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like to share that we didn't get the opportunity to last month. But I thought everybody was completely on board with that.
Yes.
We have all discussed in great detail all of those categories prior to what was presented before. So, kind of all three of us is agreement. And obviously with the county attorney, hired in
12, yeah.
And nothing has moved since that time, so I think this is the best way to resolve that situation. Larger increase, and I think the increment change versus.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't have anything else circled, highlighted, anything there, so we'll move on. Unless you have anything else you want to bring up. Okay. That brings us to the highway budget. Oh, yeah. Oh, Renee, I'm sorry, I forgot about Renee, had an appointment, and so, thank you, Janet. Yeah, so let's go to the dispatch budget, tab 21. And again, I like I've said on a couple others, it's just mainly that this is a large budget and it feels warranted to have two looks at it. And I had a couple of notes of some explanations you had made about, well, there's the indigital equipment lease, there's some new funds, the ACCS line to connect dispatch to the new police department stations. I didn't have anything that
Are we starting with the 911?
I'm sorry, yeah, let's see, that is, yes, that's the 911 budget.
And of course, we have the big of adding the 4 positions.
Correct.
So I think what I'm thinking is I had put, when I did the budget, I put 2 in the 911.
That's right, that's what it
And I
was.
put the others in as well, just because I wasn't sure. I think remove them. I would rather keep them all the dispatchers all together
Okay,
to come out of central dispatch. So if we do that, these two that we added
which would be 010005.
can go ahead and come out of the 911.
Okay. Thank you. I'd forgotten that.
I guess with that, I mean,
So that's
it
good
would,
right where it's
it
at.
would end up
That's-
affecting
So
like
That's staying right.
Social
No, this one's
Security and
going.
PERF, which would make
This
it
one is going?
less,
Okay.
but
We're taking out of 911, we're gonna
That's
keep
just-
them in the dispatch
Okay,
budget.
okay,
let's remove those two.
okay.
And then how do we handle that bilingual stipend? So I had one in this budget, that's for the shift supervisor, that's Spanish speaking. And then the other two girls that are bilingual are dispatchers. And I had put in for a 200, I called it stipend because I wasn't sure, but how do we do that? Should that be,
You can do it one of two ways. You can divide it over the 26 pays throughout the year, or we could do it twice a year.
okay,
That's how the
okay,
assessment, they just pay it out twice a year.
okay.
So we could do something like that.
Did you say you want two stipends or you want three?
I have three.
Okay,
Yeah, one
okay.
is a shift supervisor, and she is paid out of the
Yeah,
911.
and so that makes sense,
And the
yeah.
other two are dispatchers, and they are paid out of central dispatch.
Okay,
So I just wasn't sure. So would that be more of just, as long as that's approved, just a housekeeping for us to figure out how we're gonna pay?
So
Okay.
you have two dispatchers for a stipend, and who else?
So Amanda as a shift supervisor,
Okay.
And then-
one shift.
and then the other two are dispatchers,
Okay.
Gloria and Karina. And then let's look on through. Yeah, the ACCS was a new for our connectivity with the police department.
mhm.
Other than that, I don't think there was really anything. Our Crossroads, which you know, we entered into a 3-year contract, so that made them at 11,000. We'd previously been paying them 12,000. Again, that was one of those that we paid Motorola,
Yeah,
you know, to Crossroads, but we're in a contract with Crossroads. And again, can I just say how awesome they are? So we had a large amount of buses that I was finally able to get. Buses a week ago, finally for the county.
That weren't updated or weren't there, or?
We didn't. So I called Neil with Crossroads and I said, hey, I have a large amount of documents that I'm gonna be sending. So I don't expect this to be. We've got some people off on vacation, so it'll probably be next week. I think I talked to him on Tuesday after Labor Day. Wednesday, I got an email. And I'm talking.
Very nice, great.
A lot.
so when you say you got three, who did you get them from? Okay,
But anyway, I mean, they.
so
are-
new addresses that are created and go into the system.
Yes,
they-
and we
it
didn't
hadn't been
have- so
forwarded to
we
your
had to call,
system.
like,
I
for
got you,
example,
Okay,
there's
yeah.
one- There's like 3 homes on 850 down the road from me.
I got you.
If we
Data
added
entry,
that
okay.
into our CAD, not that that address doesn't exist and we can force, but again, if they didn't know,
I
like,
makes-
we would
okay.
think that they're not giving us a valid address.
Okay,
And so, I mean, there's a lot of addresses.
Okay.
A lot of documents that I sent them, and that is, by far, that is one of the best things ever invested in, because it's critical.
you know, I hadn't noticed this before, but on that line item, there's budgeted amounts for 21 and 22, but it doesn't show that it actually got spent. So-
Because it was through Spillman and Motorola.
But why did we have it budgeted if we weren't writing, or,
Well, I think Motorola never billed us.
Oh.
Is probably what,
Oh.
yes. Yes.
Okay,
So now we are
okay.
into a contract, we took Motorola out of the mix, because I can you know, it just makes things much easier, which we found out with the whole ERS debacle with Motorola. Like I'm, you know, Spillman will be Spillman, but Motorola's kind of almost becoming like AT&T, almost too big for the britches. Like, you keep buying all these things, and then you lose out on some of those.
So would your opinion be that that's just been lost in the shuffle and that's not gonna come back someday? Or do you expect that someday you're gonna get 2 years worth of bills?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, not to say, but yeah, I think Motorola's so,
It's lost.
yes.
Okay.
Is Crossroads your GIS system?
What?
Crossroads your GIS system?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that was the statewide 911 fund. So if we flip the page to dispatch, the big item there is the 16 dispatchers and the corresponding Social Security and the benefits package, ancillary cost to those dispatchers.
And then I had, so by increasing these, our Shelby products, those are our dispatch chairs that we lease. So that had to go up by 1 chair because we will have 5 positions out there. And currently we lease 4 chairs, 4 dispatch chairs.
Yep.
And so that, it was a small increase. And then, the ESO Solutions, that's the ESO fire reporting that will, and it's much cheaper than what Spillman was charging us, because it was 29, I believe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and moving forward, by taking them again out of the mix, they are, so it's cheaper, the 21,546 is what moving forward we will pay ERS on that.
And then the 04 Shelby was the new console.
Console.
Yes, that is the new console. So I think I had told you, I didn't have exact numbers because our rep had, it had COVID and was sick, and I had finally did get those. So we have a couple, the turnaround for 4 consoles is 12 to 14 weeks.
Okay.
And I have 2 different ones, and, the one is the standard, and I brought these if anybody, I made copies if anybody would like to look at them, is 90,000 for 5. The other one, which is more of the Pro, is 120, but the Pro does have some other additional features that I think moving forward would do us well to have and to continue to plan for the future.
Okay.
Things with ports and different things like that. My thought is, we're not going to have 4 dispatchers hired and ready to go in January because we're gonna be waiting. So if I went with this, I wouldn't need to do an additional,
Transfer.
but I would need to reappropriate funds.
Right.
But I do think that this would be the better option for us
Okay.
moving forward. And they did tell me that, we can plan with, that is replacing all our 4 positions and adding the 5th. But we will probably put it so that if on down the road, and I mean, things are changing quickly. We are growing. You and I have always once in a while had that conversation, what if we went to a regional dispatch and maybe we took part of county or something, you know? We would need to add that 6th position.
Right.
And so we will probably put in those other 2 positions, because we would have 3, I'm planning at the front and 2 at the back. Move those so that they are ready, so that we did put the 6th position in.
Okay.
So, you know, we could also do a 6th position and leave it for training and leave it open, not put phone and computer there.
How will that impact operations when those get installed?
So we will probably utilize, because they will take 1 section at a time. So we would have, so if we did the front, so we would lose 2 positions and our back 2 positions would be functional. By then, our Frankfort Police backup should be up. So we would take, and we would go over there with 2 people as well. We can take our Mevos, our backup phone positions.
Yeah.
So within digital, they can do it so that if one 911 call comes in, they point it to dispatch. And then the second one comes in, they point it to the Mevo. So if we had multiple, like,
I almost wondered whether you'd have to just like be out of there for a short time because
So-
of the construction noise or.
No, I don't, they're used to, like, they can do, like, during the time, but they need to take, like, one half down at a time. So I think
Okay.
it would be beneficial for us and a good opportunity to utilize that
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. So that's my thoughts, that we would probably put 2 over there and keep 2 there in dispatch.
Okay,
So, because we have to have somebody there with like warrants and things like that, and things that come in that we have to deal with, that we actually have to be there with the hard copies and different things
right,
like that.
okay,
So,
okay.
But, you know, this really is taking us forward in a lot. I mean, my girls, if you come down there, if you walk into dispatch, like some of them have blankets, they all keep blankets in their drawers. I mean, there's no happy medium with things. And these positions, I mean, you know, you're not supposed to have little miniature heaters, you know, but some of them do, you know, and then some of the guys are hot, and we have some girls that are hot. But these have individual, so like you can have actual individual heating and cooling. We have the lighting at individual, because right now it's just the overhead lights, and we have one shift, they like all the darkness, but when I come out there, they know these old eyes need light, you know, so I turn the light on. But you can also keep the lights off in the room and have lighting at the individual desks, things like that, that will add to help things.
This may seem like a strange question, but is there any value to the old consoles?
He said, and I asked that because I was
Okay.
wondering if like
Yeah.
there was another agency, and he said you know, and maybe, but he said the cost that they would, the other agencies would have to incur, even though they're not paying, to try and get them put back together is probably not. So, you know, they will probably take them back, and that way they will, because those are obsolete now. So there's some
Okay.
agencies that, you know, they still have good consoles, but need parts. So,
Gotcha.
you know, they may take those back for parts and things.
Okay,
So, and moving on with this, I know that we had also discussed the extra money that I've not used that came in from the extra lit this year. And, we'll need to purchase, besides the console, the additional phone position. And I received that from InDigital, and that's amount is $31,236. I'm thinking using part of that, I didn't put that in my budget, cause you
so
told
that'd
me
be
like
that'd be an additional for this year.
This year.
Yeah.
So, and I believe, I don't know the exact amount.
I can't remember.
Was it 50-some,
That sounds right.
58-ish?
I can't
So
remember.
that would be part of it, and then I need to look at, like, the electrical costs, and Tim and I had talked about, because we will have to have, like, electric ran from the equipment room out to this new 5th position. So when I find out exactly what I need for that, I would like to go ahead and use the rest of that money to finish filling that 5th position. You know, as far as like getting the electrical ran and what it entails.
Okay. I had some numbers, but I don't think I had the right number,
Yeah,
so.
I think it was 58 something, but, so I do wanna mention that, because that's not in my budget included in this.
Okay.
So, that will be probably coming before you at some time before the end of the year.
So Renee's referring to, we got the special distribution on all those income tax funds, and the public safety lit, the first quarter percent of that goes to dispatch. So there was some money that she got out of that as well,
Yes.
that we have not appropriated any of that for.
Renee,
Yes,
I was on I forget which one of the consoles. Will, in digital, do they pay to have all that, everything put into the new console, or who
so
does
that is
that?
part of, so Shelby and Company will do that.
Okay, that's
Yes,
part of their-
Yes, that
okay.
is part of their, yes.
Cause I
with the
know that we
installation.
ran into some issues,
Yes,
unforeseen issues.
yes,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Renee, can I see?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because, you know,
Absolutely.
especially the last time I was there to talk to you, I
Yes.
never really looked at a console, but
Yes.
these must be pretty elaborate.
It's like a,
It's a workstation, you gotta be somehow separated from people, and there's a microwave in there?
there's a microwave in the room.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my.
Now, imagine
Thank you.
her son. Dispatch.
Starship Enterprise, yes.
For-
You've never been down there, have you? Oh, yes, you
Indianapolis.
need to come down, you need to come down.
They have 50 calls here a day.
Yeah.
He has 5.
Right now, our consoles do
Calls.
raise up, so like if people get tired of sitting, they will raise up to stand.
Oh, yeah, those are great.
You
Those
know,
desks, yeah.
and they can, and adjust it, you know, because some people, you know, like the keyboards and different things up, some like them lower. This also will have arms, which I like. Right now, our consoles where they sit, they are on a section where you can kind of pull it forward, but it doesn't come very forward. The whole thing will move forward, so you can move the monitors closer. The monitors will actually be on arms, so that like, there's certain things that you may want definitely closer, much like this, like your, you know, so they will have those as well.
So the screens, all the flat, these are all, this is part of it?
So
The
we will
hardware?
still continue with our monitors that we
Okay,
have
okay.
now. But as again, times have changed with things, and they're gonna make sure that we have the largest amount of screen space, because, you know, we have one monitor that's still kind of a smaller one, so when it ends up getting replaced, it's probably going to be a bigger one. So they've included the larger ones for us as far as stands with the consoles and things like that. And we may end up adding, right now we have 5 monitors, and we may end up adding a 6th one, because with technology and everything that we're on, like one of our screen, we're logged into multiple things at once, like on the computer that we have our CAD.
Yeah, apparently.
You know, so we're
Yeah.
constantly having to click over and switch to the different programs, whether it's like a Veil Web, which is what Frankfurt Police uses. They have their cameras in their cars and the body worn camera on them. We can't see anything, it's a dot, but we know if they tell us where they're at, and maybe they make a traffic stop, Jake Myers makes a traffic stop, we see where he is at with his car, and they'll say the person takes off running. We can also see that he is running and he's 3 blocks away to the north, and now he's back west. You know, you can see those, and it's an awesome program. We utilize Rapid SOS now, which is an awesome program. It had been out for a little while, but and it's free, and we just, in the last few months, we've signed up and started using that. So when you place a 911 call, you know, I talk about how sometimes we know exactly where you are and sometimes we don't. Depends on the newness sometimes of the phones. It may hit the cell tower. You know, there's one at North Clay Street, the cell tower. So the call may come in and it's hitting the tower, and we have to keep refreshing, because it takes the location from the cell tower on that 911 call. Rapid SOS takes it from the location services on the cell phone. And we also, so everybody is logged into that as well at their computer. It actually, we get a small little ding right before 911 rings now through Rapid SOS. So we know, so we usually, when we hear that ding, we click on Rapid SOS, about as soon as we click on it, 911 is ringing. So we have 2 tools at once that we can help rely on. Like yesterday, the EMT class came down, Russell Sheets brought the EMT class down for a tour and to talk to me about communications and all we do in there, and it dinged, but we didn't get the 911 call. But the girls looked at it, it was on 65, and it was right at the Clinton-Tippecanoe County line, so as they were ringing, it was
they
going
crossed.
to us,
Okay.
it went to Tippy.
They crossed.
Tippy
yeah.
ended up calling us because, there was another call that happened in that area, but and we could continue to watch it, even though we were never on that call, we continued to watch the dots go up 65 northbound. It's an awesome tool. So it is, but I mean, we're logged into multiple things at one time, so we may have to at some point. I mean, technology's changing, they kept talking about next gen 911, that eventually we're probably gonna have video and dispatch, and I'm, you know, where you see an accident and you call in and you're basically sending us live video from this accident scene. It's gonna come.
Wow.
It's gonna come. You know, it's just a matter of when, and it's, I think each year we're just a little bit closer. So,
Well, okay. That sounds like a plan. I mean, we're continuing to move that direction.
yes.
This is good. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
thank
Yes,
you very
yes.
much.
That really helps visualize it. So with that being said, I don't know that there's anything we need to change for the budget, but it was worth the discussion there. Any questions? Okay, I think that's all we need.
Well,
tonight.
yeah,
Oh,
well, the
okay.
4 new positions.
Yes.
Were they in both budgets, so we're just
It was
taking?
double
Yeah, we're 2 and 2.
Got it, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we got some money back.
Yes,
Yes.
and 1222.
We haven't been
Yes.
doing that very much.
So, yes,
Not,
he was talking about
not this year.
I remember years
down
past, we
noise,
do that a
Double
lot.
advertising, yeah, to, as a safety
red,
net.
Yeah, I was just doing that just as we were working forward, just to
green,
make
it's
sure our
good,
base is covered.
yellow. they're
Well, I want to make sure that I didn't miss
red,
something. We
Oh,
took,
okay.
It's the
We took
true
2 out.
bona fide
Yes.
Yes, we
Yeah.
took 2 out.
That, because I only
We
had
just- so we-
two.
we didn't-
It's in the world.
Yes.
2 were double advertised.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right, that's what I wanted to make sure I didn't miss 2 more somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
Now we're ready for highway. Which is tab 14. Okay. I don't recall that there was anything in here that was circled or that I made a,
Alan, the only thing I had, I talked to you about the fuel line. I think you had mentioned possibly.
yep.
that was,
Well, I just wanted to double check because we knew the contract. Did you, when you made your fuel budget, Rick, that's all I was gonna double check and ask, but did you know the contract amount for next year yet? So the commissioners have already contracted fuel for next year.
I didn't get anything.
Okay. Well, I just had that and I don't know, I think it's this one.
That's in 1176, 531.
Okay. All right, we have in the budget 375,000, and I've had Jerry print me out the contract list. The combined total for, I don't have gas though, I don't think. Well, there's gas. Is 174,000 plus. I think you're high on your fuel budget, is what I guess I think. But I don't have, I don't see a specific listing for gas, so I'm hesitant to change until I've seen the, do you have much of a gas budget, or is it pretty much all diesel?
Pretty much all diesel.
Okay.
The last patch truck I bought, I got a gas, and he's got totally diesel.
Yeah, so you have 55,000 gallons contracted at, well, this shows total dollars, at 171,160. 174,160. So that $375,000 line item is gonna be way more than you need. Which I was more concerned, I wanted to make sure we had enough, because if we don't, if you've got too much, we just don't spend it, and it rolls back into the cash balance, so that's okay.
Well, the last, this year's budget, you guys was afraid I didn't have enough in there, but I'm going to, probably the last couple of months, and I have to ask for additional. We'll get why.
Yeah, and so much of that depends on how much weather,
Yes.
how much winter weather we get, so. Okay, so I don't think there's anything that I want to adjust there. We can keep that the same. I just wanted to make sure we had enough, so we do. We went through each of these departments and each of these pages. The first one is just all operators, which I think is the, I don't know if that's restricted. Yeah, that was the restricted. If you go to the unrestricted, then we start to see that's the group insurance. liability insurance, building insurance, workman's comp, all those kinds of things in there. And then the other half of the operator salaries, so we divide that between the restricted and the unrestricted. And then flipping over to maintenance and repair, that's where we just talked about the fuel. Everything else is just kind of carrying forward previous year's budget. We did have an ask for an increase on the utilities, which seems reasonable, given the way utility costs have gone up. I do see, Rick, that you asked for a $25,000 increase on the garage and motor supplies. Was there a particular reason for that? Like you were anticipating, an older fleet that was gonna have more repairs? I mean, we've been trying to put some new trucks in, so it kind of surprised me that that went up.
All right, well, we just raised everything 6%. That's why we did that. And new trucks should start showing up in December.
Okay.
And tires are more expensive now. We got several trucks that start with tires.
Anybody have any questions on the, kind of the primary highway department budget there?
Nope.
If you flip then to the wheel tax, surtax, that's primarily used for materials, stone, oil, and bituminous. We just have some ice control in that budget, and an allowance for road signs.
So we're full right now, we're full of salt. We have
Great.
All the barns are full of salt, and we have 2,000 tons of sand on the ground. So we're ready.
Good deal.
Hopefully you don't have to use it.
Yeah, I hope you don't have to use it. Okay, flip the page to local road to street. This is where we have the equipment leases that we've entered into in recent years. You'll see the truck lease, both an old and a new one. You'll recall we had that discussion about we accelerated maybe a year or two early that truck lease for 6 trucks, and the reason being is that we're getting close to the new models having to have an improved engine emissions standard that was going to make them quite a bit more expensive. So we went ahead and pulled those from the current model years to try to avoid that price increase. We have the loader lease and the grader lease in there as well.
There's two new loaders leased. Should be showing up.
Well, you'll see the
We already got
numbers.
the graders.
Loaders, we have one line item for the lease, but it does reflect both payments. So that
I've seen the last dump truck that's
Yep.
gonna need a bed on it.
small bed for $20,000 for that.
That's a regular steel bed, it's not stainless steel or anything, because the truck's already 10 years old, so.
Okay. Flip the page, and that gets you to the bridge fund. We talked a little bit about the bridge fund earlier with the additional appropriations. I don't know, Rick, with some of that work that is getting done this year, does that change anything on your budget request for next year? Like, everything's still, okay.
Should be.
I know some of those things we put placeholders in, and it kind of depends on when the state or the feds release them as to when it actually gets done, but,
Once they decide what we owe, they want their money,
yeah,
so let's be for that.
okay.
So when you're talking about a bridge, you don't really know, Bridge 36, and so the repairs on that, you really don't know if it's 80/20 or whatever the split is? There's nothing,
So, yeah, we know, before we start on
Okay,
the bridge,
okay.
we know what our portion is. They let us
okay,
know.
okay.
But like 67, or like 55, they're getting ready to
55,
start.
yeah.
They're getting ready to start 55. We didn't know until just a few months ago. what our portion was gonna be.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that, because I hadn't thought of that. So we give them our portion up front?
They
Yeah,
want it up front.
yeah,
That's what
okay,
they want it right now.
okay,
They want it right now. They don't wanna wait.
okay.
That's-
Interesting.
That's the first,
Yeah.
since I've been superintendent, we got a bridge 100% paid. We got one 90% paid, and then this is the first one that's come up that we had to pay our 20%.
Hmm.
And everything, of course, everything had went up in the meantime.
Yeah,
So,
okay. So there's the line out, we have some monies distributed to various different bridges there. Well, let me ask this, we had 50,000 for Bridge 55, is that kind of done now? That we did that appropriation today and it wouldn't need to be in the 24 budget, or would we still need to have it in there?
we better have it in there, because you don't know what could come up.
Okay. Okay,
It's like, this Bridge 115.
Yeah, right.
The last one, that's, the consultant's estimate is high because the state told them that they needed to put this, this, and this in there, even though we may not use it. We'll get that back if we don't use it, but you gotta put it in there.
okay,
Yeah, on that one, I wrote an extra 20,000 on that one.
So did I, Jeff.
Yeah. I can't remember, I've got BS informed. So I don't know what, should that stay 60 or should that stay 80 or?
well,
That was the
we
one
wouldn't have to
Bridge
advertise anything,
115?
Rick, given what we did this morning on Bridge 55, would you be okay with us reducing it to 30 and moving 20,000 more to Bridge 115?
That's fine.
That gives you some in Bridge 55, but
Yeah.
moves up closer to what you expect on 15. So let's do that. Let's go 30,000 on Bridge 55 and
Yes.
80,000 on 115. Okay.
Good.
And then the last thing I had, the last page is the community crossing grant fund that, we have 300,000 in there. That's, I assume, our grant match, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So when we apply for that $1 million grant every year, we have, the counties our size, it's a 25% match, but sometimes the project goes beyond, that $1.25 million, and so it's
We're
a,
gonna be doing Michigan County, Blacktop.
okay. Has that already been submitted, or is that to be submitted?
But the firm in Cypher's working on it now.
Okay,
That when the state opens that up, we'll be ready.
okay. Very good. That's been a really good program for us. Okay, that's the highway budget. Anything else you care to bring to our attention? Any questions that any of you have for Rick?
No.
Okay.
Just don't let it snow.
Yeah, I'm trying not to. We can save a lot of money if it don't snow.
Yeah, sure can. All right. Thank you, Rick.
All right.
Thank you.
Is anybody out there? Okay, okay.
We just got 2 left.
2 left.
Sweet.
You're good luck, Todd.
I
It's
will
never
go
been
up.
this, never been this smooth before you.
Okay, well, I'll go with that for today. The way the day's been going, I'll go with that, Alan.
Yeah, as many phone calls as you're getting, you got craziness going on? Okay.
I forget what-
I'm gonna take a 1-minute break myself and get a refill on my water, so hang on just a second.
Have you been in that jail?
Not recently.
Never been in?
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Took a tour of it. Would you like,
I was shackled.
how would you like to take an internal tour of it? I still have the master key. Up when I was in there. 12-foot of pipe. I'd have two 12-foot sections of PVC pipe, 6-inch, clear,
Okay.
clear, clean, all clear, where you can see through it.
All right, Sheriff's Department budgets, tab 19.
It was 55.
Pretty good.
Sorry.
Not bad.
Am I gonna have to split you two out?
Yeah, he's getting educated over here.
All right, let's start with the first one on in the tab here is the actual County General Sheriff's Department budget. Has a lot of our, has some positions, has the, pension contribution in there. We recall that we talked about that last month, about how we kind of made some adjustments there. We are funding the full amount of the request. It's just going to be split amongst a couple of different places. I didn't really have anything circled here other than I wanted to revisit, and this kind of goes hand in glove with that resolution we talked about at the regular meeting on the legal. I have no objection to going ahead and asking the council to vote right now to fund that 20,000 out of commissary and removing it from here, if you don't have any objection to that.
I do have somewhat of an objection when, you know those, and it's part of, just like the resolution, those are funds that, we know are needed for other places to relieve county general. So, I mean, part of that, and I know we'll get to a commissary resolution at a certain point in time in the next, hopefully in the next month and a half, 2 months. But, I don't mind taking it out of there, just as long as we're still gonna continue forward with a resolution.
Well, my thinking there, Sheriff, was just that it was unique in that it was advertised in the budget as an item versus those other things were just kind of a category, not a specific expense. So I felt like if I owed it to you.
And we have, and historically, it's paid for out of there, so I'm okay with that.
I felt like I owed it to you if we were going to pull it out of here, that I was kind of following through, that I was going to put it, you say that the understanding is it would come out of commissary. So if I'm willing to ask for a vote on the record, unless you want to just wait and deal with it with the resolution.
No, I think we're okay with that.
With the resolution or
Taking
doing it
out
now?
of the county general, or taking it out of the budget.
I feel better. I'm going to do it. I'm going to, just because I think I want it to be documented and everything else. So let's remove the $20,000 legal services line item from here. And I would like to have a vote, because this would require the council approval. That has historically come out of the commissary fund. It's historically been at a smaller number, but we've got more going on and we have had inflation. Let's be real about it over the last 12 to 16 years. So I'd like to have a council approval to put that $20,000 legal deputy line in allow that expense to come from the commissary fund.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by
That's
Clark
for $20,000 per year.
per year. And that's not to say it couldn't go over, but at that point you come back to the council and we talk about it. So, and I had a second by Joe for $20,000 for the legal deputy in the commissary fund. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. We'll zero that then in the general fund budget. I didn't have anything else even circled in this budget for the,
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a note down at the bottom of that page, that IDAX. I wrote 2655.
oh, we needed to add some money, didn't we?
Was
Yeah.
that, we increased that, right?
Yeah, because I just got notified, like, right before the first budget hearing, that those went up like July 1st or August 1st.
Okay, I just want to make a note, make sure I changed that, okay.
What was the number, Janet? 26, 25?
2,655.
55, okay. Well, now we can accommodate that, given the reduction we just did, so.
Sorry, Jan, what number did you say?
I said, I have written 2,655.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody has any notes? Okay, moving on to the jail budget then.
because it's 2/21/20.
And I made a note under the utilities line, and I just kind of made a, I can't tell whether I said to change it to 275 or we should consider moving it to 275. I can't remember, Marcia, if you were gonna look at the most recent monthly.
You had raised it to
Okay.
275.
Yeah.
Additional in January, so I'm not sure, I don't have a dollar amount.
Okay. I do think we want to add,
Yeah, I think we should.
so I have a note to move that to 275.
Yes.
Well, I have a note that we were gonna do an additional appropriation.
Yeah, additional 25,000.
Yeah.
I've already.
We can't really move it if it's just been advertised.
Well,
Unless we took
correct. So
something
we,
else
so in
away.
January, we would move that line to 275 through that additional
Okay.
appropriation. But I wanted to, I made that note to
Yep.
make sure I knew where we were going to go to.
We're on the same page.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I had a notation to move on the last page of that budget to take the courthouse security equipment to zero because we were gonna just allow for that in the bond, from the bond funds.
Yep.
So we took that to zero. I didn't have anything else.
Well, if we wanted to, we could put the 5 back over here on utilities, but it wouldn't be enough.
It's a good thought. but-
Yeah, we'll just deal with them separate, I think. Okay. Lit public safety, the 1170 budget. We did make an adjustment where the, on those courthouse security, the supervisor, my note shows a supervisor got moved up to the courthouse security, so like we're gonna have one of the two new security be the supervisor position at a different salary, is that correct? At the 51,654 versus the 50,248. I understand that correctly? Okay. I do want to bring up, I guess I'm throwing it out for discussion and consideration. We've got the full year's budget in there for those two people, but we know we're not gonna have that building until the third quarter. I don't know whether we keep it in there as a placeholder, knowing it's gonna be that in there going forward, or whether, you know, we pull
Try
that,
and figure out
go to 6 months or
the
something.
real cost, but, I mean, obviously, when's the opening of that building?
And it's scheduled for October, if it's on time.
Yeah,
So-
I would like to have a 30-day period of training.
Well, that's why I was thinking 6 months, maybe.
Figure
I-
it out, you can, but then,
Or we just leave it at the amount of the supervisor, you know, basically we fund one of the positions, and that'd be half a year for two. I mean, you know, on the other hand, it's like for budgeting's sake, it's almost nice to have the full year's number in there, because you know you got it in there to carry forward, but, I don't know, I thought
you're not
about
gonna
that.
lose it.
I-
It's gonna be there.
Yeah, I thought about that after August, that, you know, we had the full year in there, but we're not gonna have a full year.
Well, if you keep it in there as a placekeeper, we know that they're not anticipated to start.
Right. Would they train here with staff in here then?
Well, they're special deputies, so it's more than just following around here, so they'll be firearm certified,
Right.
defensive tactics, and there's more that goes into function of what happens inside.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And we, you know, I hope we have great applications come in for that. Takes a little time to get them hired, and then the training, because you lose anybody during that training, whether they couldn't qualify with a firearm or driving or anything else. So,
Well,
July to get is good, and if you wanna do that, then if you wanna keep it in there, you can. If you wanna do one salary.
I don't know, does anybody else have a feeling about that? I'm kind of ambivalent, but,
You're pretty, and you know, honestly,
Yeah, right.
so I mean, you know, I would probably note one, and we know we're gonna hire two, and keep one on the budget. But the opening day for that, it's October.
Well, then the other thing is kind of what we, and I don't remember when I said this, if it was the regular meeting or earlier in the morning, but we'll have to go through the job description and we'll have to go through the commissioner's got to approve the positions and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm inclined to just leave it in there, I think.
Yeah.
Because we need to create the job positions for both and so.
I wanna make sure
Yes, one would decrease out of 37. I have it as 41. Yes, for you.
Yeah, that's how I show it too. The other thing in there that's, while we're on this budget page, but related to EMS and not to the sheriff, is we did zero out that ambulance.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't have anything else on the lit public safety. The lit correctional facility, the jail lit. So we have the funding for 18 jailers. We changed that number, that descriptor from 19 to 18, and then added the training supervisor as the 19th person at that same supervisor salary, which is just a little bit higher. Everything else is just kind of carrying forward with the proposed raises there. Okay, and no questions there. We did ask for a little bit more on repairs and maintenance. I think that's warranted. All right, federal inmate housing, the next one. Well, I got to ask, have you heard anything about the daily reimbursement rate? Is it still on a moratorium or under suspension or whatever?
Yes, it is. I'm in the process of negotiating the new rate, but it won't take effect until
Okay,
We're hopeful. I think it looks positive.
okay. Sheriff, I can't remember, you said something to me the other day about the vehicles, but I can't remember what you told me. Oh, you switched the dealership or the
There's one dealer, the Kelly Chevrolet can't fulfill the 7, so Allstop.
for this year.
For this year, so we're gonna purchase one of them from Allstop, and it really replaces my vehicle. Then for 24, we're gonna use Allstop since they're closer, and we won't have, they're very receptive to trades. Kelly Chevrolet wouldn't take any of the trades on the 23 budget, and kind of shoots us in the foot. Storage and everything else. My vehicle's slotted for trade, and out of the 9, I think 7 of them are not operating. Absolutely don't even start.
Really?
Yes, so they're just taking up space. And I talked to Commissioner Weaver about that, and I'm going to send them what they've offered for all the 9 vehicles, what Allstop has offered, and the 29.5 this time. I'd like to add one vehicle to it because it just blew up last week. Jail vehicle, and it's just they're
Jail transport vehicle?
It's used for transport. It's used for one of the corporals that helps with everything in the jail. And just like Commissioner Weaver was talking about, this last year and a half, 2 years have been filled with the double homicide that was just decided this past week or last week, and that person was in every time the attorneys wanted to visit. She had to come in and sit with the attorneys and things like that. She was the direct liaison for that case, so she needs a vehicle, and it blew up last week. So I'd like to add it and make it 10 next week, whenever to trade into Allstop to get rid of it, because it's probably a $3,000, $4,000 repair on a $1,500 vehicle.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. There it is. So are you saying you'd like to add on the budget request then?
He's saying for trading.
Just add one for the trade-in,
I
okay.
like to have one
Okay.
for trade-in,
Okay.
not purchase, because the expectation for 24 is that, these vehicles that we're gonna purchase are for the jail staff. And one's for court transports, two are administrative, and civil process. And one canine. We have two canines, but I don't think. That's the 7, and 2 of them are for the mayor deputy officers.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's what I had, 2 Tahoes, 5 Traverse.
You
right.
know, we talked about, for 25, it looks very good. The Tahoes are holding up, the mileage, the wheels aren't getting driven off these vehicles. The deputies are doing a very good job of keeping those vehicles at low miles. So we're sitting in the mid-30s, so an average of about 15,000 miles a year with the 21 vehicles we purchased in 21. So mechanical, they're sound, solid, and we're going to be able to, we drive these vehicles out to, the 85 to 100, over 100.
Yeah, I'm really hoping 25 is a year off
Yeah,
on the vehicles.
And, us as well.
Okay, any questions on that budget? That one will look a lot better if we have if we get the higher rate.
Absolutely.
That'll help. Next one is the Sheriff's Pension Trust. That's, we get the fee income, I think, from the service of warrants, and a portion of that goes into this trust, and periodically, I don't know, every couple, 2 or 3 years, we spend it down as part of the pension payment. So we're gonna do that for 2024. $50,000 of that balance. I don't have anything else. Anybody else have any questions or comments on the budget for the Sheriff's Department?
No, I don't.
Well, that was pretty easy.
Simple.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get to work on that resolution.
Yeah, and and that's like anything, I think it'll just, it'll be a little less off the table and be able to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for Crocs, for shoes and footwear.
Yeah.
And, the other things that are budgeted, we can get in there budgeted, so appreciate it, thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that just leaves us last and certainly not least, the Health Department budget, which is 13. Seems like we've been budgeting for you for like, what, 8 months now?
It's taking a little bit more than normal.
It has been
I guess that's to be expected when you're on board an entirely new budget.
a new, yeah, it's almost like a new department in a way.
Yeah, well, yeah. I did email you information. I don't know if you were able to share with everyone, but in the event, just in case, I at least brought copies of the budget for the new budget. I think that's to deal with. And then also the latest information on having opted everybody in who was in and those who weren't. That extraneous distribution came out.
Taken care of.
Well, yeah, let's start with that. Why don't you get everybody up to speed on that?
Sure, that's the colored sheet that's going around. The final distributions, once they determined, I think there were 6 that did not attend, Johnson County being the largest, but 26, and they notified us that we had about $13,700 some additional amount of money that will be coming to our county for the extraneous that didn't get claimed. They give me just a 25th to send a revised budget to the State Department of Health. For our purposes, we'll have to, as you and I both discussed, we additionally appropriate that.
Yeah.
Once 2022. We only advertised for.
Your first amount, yeah. Do any of those 6 have the opportunity to change their mind, or is this?
Not this year.
But what about the second year?
I think they still have a chance to opt in the second year, and if they choose still not to, then money will be even more coming.
So on the second year projection, and when we talked earlier, that's still the same as the way it was in August, yeah. Okay. Okay, so just to get the rest of the council up to speed, that Rodney met with Todd and Carol and I we had I thought it was a really good discussion where we tried to address some council concerns on the proposed wage increases, and I think more directly, from our perspective, we were trying to more directly address the problem of people, that we felt like people working hours they weren't getting compensated for. And so the proposal that we made back to Rodney was to keep the wage, the hourly wage at the 2023 wage plus 6%, like we were with everybody else, but move them from 32 hours to 35 hours, so that we were increasing the compensation and reducing the amount of hours that they were not, getting compensated for as, not getting compensated for as exempt employees. And so I know you took that back and reworked.
Sat with every individual employee, gave them a firm discussion of everything that we have, including, the idea that we need very much so to work cooperatively with council and commissioners to do everything that we do successfully. And we came up with a hybrid solution, but for the most part, about, I think 80-some percent, 90-some percent of employees agreed to go ahead and go to the 35 hours.
And he says hybrid solution, and that was an idea we talked about it in our group, and the hybrid part of it is that the other option that we considered was this idea of a stipend for a specific purpose. And we were thinking at the time, we had these TB cases, we had these lead cases. That's not the direction I don't believe you ended up going, but we thought, for specific tasks, we could assign a stipend, and then that way it could go with whoever did the job rather than being tied to one position, was kind of the thinking at the time.
Which we did go with Dana, and you're right, we had lead cases overwhelmingly, we had TB cases, but we also picked up the STD, STI oversight of that whole clinic. Not only now it's not just testing two particular STDs, we're testing the whole gamut. Now we have taken on what Health and Communities was doing for a couple of years. So we just decided to use that as the stipend because that's really very extraneous. If this budget's approved for the new money, we're going to have a person hired on for TB, a person hired on to do lead and help with that management. So that left me with STI oversight and management still that could be compensated for.
So that means every time they're in front of a patient or something, every time they're exposed to somebody, or how is this being used? How is this stipend?
It's just a one-time stipend for this, for her
For
wages.
providing that service.
For that service.
For that
Okay.
function.
Because she has to actually be the one who, in many cases, administers treatment.
Yeah,
We have
okay.
a gal who's an MA, who does all the testing, but then if you need treatment, that requires an RN.
It's a specific, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, before we move to 1161, there's no changes into 1159, the way, that would all impact, okay, so that we have the two budgets now. So what would be formerly what we referred to as the Health Department budget, that's a fund 1159. And so that one has not changed from August. The new money that we would get from the state from opting into the new plan is in the next budget, 1161. And so that's where what Rodney handed out this morning would be revised numbers compared to those.
Well, as I had measured the third time through before cutting, I realized, as my dear friend Greg will tell me, I was $8.67 over once I went back to the table and revised based off of our discussions. And that had to be adjusted for, so that's why you have the new one here today. Was because she will remind me I can't have a budget that's any higher than what we already submitted.
That's
So
correct.
I adjusted
Yeah.
that. Took that $8.
Well, what's awkward here for us is that they're in a slightly different order, so you're gonna have to bear with me while I try to compare.
I think I moved. Yeah, they are not being slightly, because part-time and full-time and perf and non-perf people in some sort of area where we can figure it.
So that first one, it says Vital Records Archivist PT, is that part-time?
Yes.
Okay.
That's Miss Sue Markham, who's for years done our.
Okay, that's Sue, and that's who you referenced that.
That was on grants all this time, and I had failed.
So that one is actually up,
That's, yeah, but again, we had the extra money.
and so that's where you're reflecting that extra 13,000 from getting a higher percentage of
No, that
the.
13,000 something's gonna come additionally to us because those other counties elected not to opt in. So instead of only getting 360,941.25, we're gonna get additional 13,000.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that that's approximately, well, that's 11.
That would be coincidental.
It's coincidental? Okay, okay. So that position, and talk about that one a little bit,
Sure.
because that was, you opened my eyes a little bit on that
She's
that
been working
position.
off of a grant for years, the state grants of the two, which will go away when we opted in.
Yeah.
Because that was 53,000 and some odd dollars, probably for the last, until COVID came along, probably the last 2 to 3 years, we'd already maxed out her grant she was working off of, and I wasn't able to give her a raise. Whenever someone got voted a raise for the county employees, I was maxed out on her grant, re-maxed out on our budgets that we had before, so, this is the first time we moved her into mainstream money. At that time, talking with my office manager, she probably want to give Sue her raise too, so. Give her that raise, so. During COVID, we were augmenting her salary anyway, based off of her experience, duties, but that money's pretty much gone. Definitely, in this case, we're able to put her into the main money. Working 3 days a week for us, right?
So how many hours do you expect that part-time person, that position to work?
She works 21.
Okay.
Yeah, typically, she's part-timer, so she takes time off when she needs to. Flexible, but typically she works about 21 hours.
Okay. It's still, is there any way, what I really wanted to see, and that's what I was trying to, and I don't think I did a very good job of asking that earlier. What I really wanted to see, you had created for us after the August
I
meeting.
sent it to you in your email.
It's in my email.
But I'll give you
Well, I tell you what, could you send it to, well, or I need to get it.
I have a copy right there that I printed off.
I need to get Jerry to make us a copy.
Okay. Yes.
Or that I can
I
distribute.
did do that. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. Thank you.
I have a retired nursing professor. I don't know if that'd be a conflict or not.
Don't get me.
I just want.
Okay.
I'll get in trouble.
We were talking people before, and now this is in positions, but so everybody went to 35 except one?
Except for our brand-new environmental health specialist who's got some prior things he's currently juggling as well. But yes, everybody, the food inspector, who I spoke with, the health officer, and we've already been in discussions prior, he elected to go if approved, 7.5. That's why his he reflected it was actually 37.
Food
Our
and-
explanation.
Which one
Food
is that, Rodney?
inspector and
Okay.
vector control?
Yes, sir. And that individual,
Thank you.
just to give you some idea, our plan is in the next year and a half to start from having 2 annual inspections for every one of our restaurants and establishments and to going to 4. So basically, that's to help him cover those extra inspections.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to dig through my, too many papers.
I'm starting to get that feeling too. As I was looking version after version after version, at one point I started thinking, wait a minute, did I send the right version?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Rodney, did you say that there was one that's staying on 32 hours?
Yes, he's not on there. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know what you're, it's the environmental health specialist.
Okay,
He is
Okay.
brand new and staying at 32.
very good.
Here, Clark, if you wanna, if you lay those line here.
I've got both.
If you got that, well, okay. You guys all have both. You can lay them side by side there and see. This was the original proposed, here's the new.
I was looking at.
Total compensation across the
Okay.
2 budgets. If you just wanted to,
When did that one come from?
I sent that out.
I printed it off.
Oh, you printed it off. Okay, I've already seen it. I
Yeah,
thought it
That was in the email yesterday.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
okay.
I'm
So
not seeing
I'm not
that.
sure what
I don't know if you have that. Yeah, okay.
Let me keep that one back.
Let me take a picture
This
of
is
it, would
new.
you? I don't have that. Alan.
This is what
This guy
was-
right here.
oh,
Is that in the email to me, you
Yep,
say?
yep.
Oh, okay,
I
good.
attached that, I
Okay,
attached that
okay,
yesterday.
This
All right.
is what's being proposed if they consider for.
Okay, so we just look at those two.
Yeah.
Forget about that. All right, okay.
Now, Rodney, if I'm not mistaken, this, if I'm correct, this is at 6% and going to 32 hour, or
35.
35 hours.
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought.
For everyone except the one that's.
That's what I got at
Yes.
32.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to see the total number between the two budgets. So that's, I'm sorry, I apologize for the
No, no,
delay. I
that's-
just, I wanted to,
Completely understand.
that all makes sense to me now after I
Yeah.
look at it that way.
In future budgets, once we start moving forward, I would highly suggest we work.
So he says 6%
Put them so everybody can either be in one budget.
Yes.
or
He's
the
still
other.
at
Oh, yeah.
6%.
It's
He's
so
just
much
not going.
easier on
Yep,
payroll
that's
and
right.
He's only
such,
working
so-
Yeah, I agree with that. Well,
So if you look at it here,
Transparent that way,
health
but I
specialist,
understand with
that's what.
everything. We didn't have a whole lot of time to even worry about that part yet.
But that's
and
what
that might,
settled.
that might require some analysis of the 60-40.
I've, well,
Yeah,
I've already
does that
looked
make
at it,
sense?
I have a
Yep.
scheme.
Okay.
Okay,
The reason, if I move mine into the new money, mine automatically gets split 60-40 because I oversee everybody.
okay.
So that would help offset putting all the partials back into the main in the future.
Okay.
So, thinking about Cecily and I'm thinking about Brad. Payroll clerk.
Oh, yeah, that would sure,
So, but again,
So-
understandably, at this point, this is new to all of this, so we're gonna understand what we're doing before we tweak it to where it runs smooth, so.
FYI, your ones with cents will get around to that.
That's fine. That's fine. You want me to give you a few dollars right now? I
So-
understand that, yeah.
so we could probably, and I don't know if you've gone this far down, that, since that's a lower number in the aggregate than what you had advertised, then that also means you would lower the Social Security and Medicare and all the,
Oh, they've
That-
already been, yeah, I've already read.
so you have that extra, I guess where I'm going with all that is you have those dollars now that are not appropriated or not budgeted for anything. So do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I already put it in there, like I say, Sue.
That's in this.
Sue wasn't completely on there originally. I
Okay.
made that mistake of realizing I didn't have the part of her salary on there in the past. We did put in, 8446 and some change for rent, additional rent, because right now we're gonna be,
Above the 16 that is
yeah,
in that,
because we're gonna be
okay.
adding one or two more rooms until we get such a time to build additional space. So I wanted to not miss that.
So what I don't know, and I don't know if you have a sense of this yet, is that with the reductions in the salary, is that enough to offset the increases in the other things to know that we don't have anything to additional appropriate in January? Can it all fit in the, do you know
I
that?
haven't.
Okay.
I haven't looked at it yet.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow what he was
Is,
asking.
is this budget that you, handed out right now, is it above?
No, man.
Oh, no,
No,
I
he's
see,
got
oh,
it
that's
the
your
same.
$6. I'm with you
That's my
now.
$8.
I just now saw the bottom line. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
I adjusted all that.
I'm,
Okay.
That's my
Thank you.
job. That's my job.
I'm way behind you here, Rodney. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right, sir.
Now I'm,
Completely
It's been a long day, Alan.
now I'm caught up with you.
And it's only noon.
Yeah, I was looking at those salaries and I didn't
No,
go to the
I
back page.
adjusted that. I can also tell you, I know there's $42.55 extra in there where I miscalculate a little bit of perp and something, but I'm okay with that because that being in there doesn't hurt us to have a little bit of extra in there. So.
Right.
But yeah, I knew I was $8.67 over and I immediately adjusted the rent. But I have appropriated what was the additional monies to other areas now.
Okay.
Yes, so.
That's what I wanted to know.
And kept it under what was originally advertised.
So Rodney was in this unique position that the State Board of Health wanted him to submit his budget by September the 1st. And so we had this meeting and where he was trying to work it around and get that submitted to them, even though it hadn't come to us for the final approval. And while we recognize that's a non-binding thing, they want to
Yeah.
know it.
Well, and this is what their budget papers look
Oh.
So there's 6, 7, 8 pages.
Yeah.
Not only do you have the numbers, you have to have justifications and what core services you're gonna be using for that money for. So, yeah, that's all been sent and already approved.
So what he was saying earlier is now the state wants him to revise that to include this extra 13,000 that we're gonna get allotted. But we can't just put that extra 13,000 in here. We have to wait and additional appropriate that sometime after the first of the year. So that's how that all, a lot of moving parts on this budget. So our commitment to Rodney was that, much like what we said to the prosecutor, was that, we're gonna get the salary survey, come in, and we're gonna do a comprehensive review. We felt like it would give us the added benefit of we would have the additional programming in place for a year, and we'd have the new staffing in place that we could see how all the various job responsibilities were playing out and whether there needed to be any adjustments or things like that. So I felt like we were going to be able to look at this in a much more comprehensive and, I think, intelligent way a year from now.
And this is
So-
and this is a long run investment.
Yeah.
So, as I told my staff, we're gonna be talking to you guys a lot. We wanna work with you cooperatively to get the best for the community out of this new money.
And I think that the three of us that met with you, I think we were speaking on behalf of everybody. We did want to get everybody additional compensation for those hours that they were working, So this seemed like a good way to take that first step. Well, you made the job easy, Rodney. That
Well, I
was,
tried
that addressed all of my concerns, and we'll need to re-enter. You have the copy if you can adjust the numbers accordingly.
I'll email you as well. I failed to copy you on it this morning, but I was kind
That's
of,
okay, that's okay.
like I said, I was looking several, I've gotten to where I'm putting highlights through the older ones.
Yeah.
But you want to keep the file of how did I get to where I am now?
That's why I've got all these things here, yeah.
We're working off
So,
the same page.
yeah, so,
I just had one question, the 32-hour position,
Mr. Nash Smith,
so is he in the
he's the environmental health
Okay,
specialist in
gotcha.
training still, and
Okay.
very much committed to some other things that he was doing when he first came in. And I understood, in his circumstance, he's still really in training.
Yeah,
So,
okay. I just
whereas-
wanted to.
Yeah, that's who it is, yes. So, and as I told Alan yesterday, we had just real quick, we had the honor to go over and work for Carroll County in the evening yesterday, because they opted in as well. And found it strange that I was sitting in front of not only the health officer for Carroll County, but the one for Howard County as well. Has been for Howard County. So we're working with them. They're still in their courthouse. Built, for those of you who don't know, they were almost completely closed down. I find it strange that there's so many differences between county to county to county and what's going on. Actually, one of the council members popped in and was sitting there talking to us for a few minutes.
so they're just asking for guidance and.
They opted in and they want guidance. They want to know what it is that, within reason of, working with their council. And we hope to provide as much of that as we can.
Yeah.
Helps the whole community. I think we have a good portion of our residents that live here that work in Carroll County. It's important for us to see
Yeah.
that they're strong too, and more importantly, we've carried a lot of their immunization burden and some other things for several months when they were down. But it was interesting to sit and share the ideas, and yet talk to a health officer who is also orchestrating the same process in Howard County as well. So, I found
That's
that
great.
educational as well. So.
We've all learned so much. I mean, that's been a kind of a silver, I don't want to say silver lining to a dark cloud because it wasn't a dark cloud, but it's been an additional benefit that we've all had to kind of dive in and learn so much here, so.
I do think that, and I know everyone, you guys work with a lot of numbers, you guys and gals, but I do want to say, through all this issue that we've had to go through, this is a historical time. Thus for Clinton County too. We have an ability here to do much more than we've ever done for the residents of the county by finally making it so that it doesn't matter where you live in the state. If you're in Clinton County, or now, shouldn't matter, because as a resident, guys for helping us get this far. I'm certain that the other 5 or 6, by year 2, are gonna suddenly say, oh, what did we do? Because they're gonna be behind the 8 ball greatly.
Rodney, I don't know how much the rest of the council knows about our special guest we have coming to the county later this week from the,
Yeah.
can you just maybe share a little bit about
Sure.
that visit?
Sure, for the 180?
Yeah, yeah.
So, we've got 2 persons coming, one of which is a good personal friend of mine, Dr. Jerome Adams, who you may or may not know was first state health commissioner out in 2013, 2012, when I was still there. Also, has served as best surgeon general for a period of time, and also Dr. Gupta, who's the drug czar for the United
For the White
States.
House.
Yes.
The White
Yeah.
House is coming to 180. Focused on, more importantly than everything, not only the good works we've done and how we've done it here in Clinton County, but on the idea of folks trying to employ folks that have gone through recovery. And the health department's been asked as well to be on that roundtable because we have actually, working with Britt and Cecily, hired 1 or 2 individuals who were in recovery in the past, and so too have many other of our agencies around here. We're gonna talk about what we do differently, how we all work together, and it's obviously brought national attention. So, Dr. Jerome is actually over at Purdue University now, serving a role there, so. And he was always very supportive of us.
Well, I just wanted the council to know, sometimes, we get lost in the numbers and I mean, it's made such a difference to people that it's gotten noticed in Washington, that's pretty cool.
I've been with Rodney for as long as we can, for a long period of time, and we was on several state committees together, and if you need numbers crunched, everybody knew to go to Rodney, because Rodney knew how to crunch the numbers to get them to where they'll fall within your budget. So I'm sure everything's true and accurate. There's no doubt that what he says will happen.
I just want to thank all of you for giving us the opportunity. I like to say, when you start having other counties ask you for help, I think that says a lot, because we're not that much bigger than Carroll. I mean, we're offered help from others, but they chose us.
Yeah, that is good.
We was even, at the state level, they'd have Rodney, because we was one of the few that was involved in the state concept, and Rodney kind of steered them in the direction that they should be going to help them alleviate any of their issues and things. And now there's an entire district that goes to every disaster and every major event, whether it's a chicken flu or a tornado. So it's just across the gamut of things that is available to us.
I've had the opportunity, I always call it the opportunity, to work with folks like Joe and the rest, first at the local level. And the one thing I did at the state was I made it clear that you can't put something in a place that doesn't meet the ground truth of what happened at the local level. And that served me well at the state for a long time, with 4 administrations. So, but I envision eventually coming back to share that and use that here at the county level. So, and that's probably the most rewarding. Joe and I say we've been around the world several times, but it's best when you come home and get something important here in this county. So,
Well, we're lucky to have you.
I appreciate it.
I don't have anything else. Anything else that either of you have for us?
Thank you for working with us.
Yeah, thanks for the buy-in. Thanks for explaining it well. Yeah, and
We are always here.
we know we'll see you again.
Yes, well, yeah, like I say, this conversation's, we've got more money next year that we're gonna be challenged to
Yeah,
use
we're gonna-
effectively. And that's what I say it is, challenging and using effectively.
But now It has its own line item. It'll be a little easier, cause it'll have.
Yeah,
its
right,
own
right,
item in the
right.
budget.
I already have forms,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
but thank you
Yeah.
for all your guidance all through all the years.
Yeah.
We've come a long, long way, for those of you who've been through most of the journey. It's been quite the journey.
It has been a journey. So next month, October, we will adopt the budget. We have the opportunity up until that point to make any last minute changes if something would pop up, but I don't, don't foresee that. It normally doesn't happen, but we will finish the budget process in October. So, with that being said, we'll adjourn. Okay? Yeah, how about that?
Anything you guys need, just holler at.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
October 3rd.
Is that Brandy's replacement?
We got all our dates,
Stock.
closing dates and everything else set. We, I've got,
Yeah.
need a hardwood floor showing up tomorrow.
I just asked you that. Why would you get mad at me? Hey, man, so how was your day of educating the young
See
minds?
y'all.
See you, Todd. Take care, man.
Thanks.
See ya.
When you were you at the 4-H building?
Yeah, yes, for Ag Day.
Yeah, how'd that
And
go?
so Bethany Purley asked me to speak for like 15 minutes. And it was Brian Buchanan and I that she asked.
Okay.
So, right, we were the last thing before lunch, so we that tells you a little bit about what the attention span was, but basically she didn't give us any guidance. She just said, it's Ag Day, you have a connection with agriculture and public service, just come and tell how you can be involved in
Can't believe we've done this
and still
early.
be involved in other things. Just tell a little bit about your story. And so that's kind of what I did. I just talked
okay.
about, the background of being a farmer, why I decided to run for council, what the council does. Like, it kind of meandered a little bit because I
I wanted to
didn't,
make up for
I
being
didn't know
late
what she
this
wanted to
morning.
talk about until then. But I talked a little bit about
Marcia, there's another highlighter behind the screen.
What's that?
Work around here,
all of the different kinds of people that I interact with as a farmer that
75.
Yeah, I think
that when we talk about being involved in agriculture, it doesn't mean you're the person on the tractor. It can be
yeah.
the welder, the accountant, the tax advisor, but all of those people have to understand agriculture to some degree to be able to serve agriculture. And so I talked about that, and then